Hello, everybody. So glad you could make it. There's already a few people in the chat, so hello. Uh, Hi, Lucy. Thank you for coming. Hi, Ellie, and thank you. I'm very excited for my 10th book release, and it's the book that was released today is a novella for the Realm Monster series, and you guys can ask me anything about my books or my writing in the chats, and I'll happily answer them. Um, we're probably going to be mostly talking about my Realm Monster series in this chat, but you guys can bring up my other two series if you want. And yeah, so I have a few things planned for this live. I will at some point read a snippet from the novella being released today, and I have a guessing game for my current series, which character said what, which I thought would be fun. Um, but so if you guys have any questions, please ask me. My novella that was released today, I'll tell you a little bit about it. So it follows the first novella, which these novellas you do not have to read before you read The Realm of Monsters, but you do need to read the novellas in order because it kind of tells the story of Kalista and Joan, which in The Realm of Monsters it is mentioned Joan as one of Kalista's past relationships and her last relationship and the most prominent one because they were really in love and stuff, but it ended badly. So you go into the novellas knowing it's gonna end badly, but I already got at least one person hooked on this relationship despite how it's gonna go. So I'm very happy with that. But I've been loving writing their relationship. They've been so cute to write, and in the first book they kind of have this enemies to friends to lovers thing. They don't actually officially get together until book 3, which is the one, novella 3, which is the one I'm writing right now. And so that's something to look forward to. But so in the first novella, they meet and they immediately hate each other. But over the course of the novella, you slowly see them become something more. And in the second novella, it has a forbidden arc because they are on opposite sides of this war. So they're gods. One is Greek, one is French. So their separate gods have been basically forbidden them from seeing each other. But so now they're in this conflict. Their countries and or religion when it comes to Joan, because she's very religious, versus their relationship and how much they mean for each other, even though they're now just realizing, hey, I may feel something for her. They're both still too scared to actually admit that they do. So that's kind of novella 2. But they also have there's also a lot of fight scenes in it, obviously, because they're in the midst of a war. So there's a lot of battle scenes. Joan has to deal with her issues with religion or Kalista, because Kalista's a vampire. So she's a demon in the eyes of her gods, which she kind of was a demon in the eyes of Joan at the beginning of the first novella. But a lot has changed since then. And so she's very conflicted with that. And then Kalista has her own confliction because she still is struggling to control her vampire urges at this point. She's more in control in the Realm Monsters trilogy, but there's still a fine line between when she can lose control because vampires only have so much control around fresh blood. But this is centuries beforehand, so she doesn't have that much control yet. So she's really struggling about trying to fight for her country, for her gods, even though she didn't really want to do it in the first place because of her issues. She ends up agreeing for Joan's safety. But so she has to struggle a lot with her own urges and try to control her vampire impulses. And she fails multiple times, but luckily Joan is there for her. So yeah, there's a lot going on. Jolista, yes. Ellie, who's my beta reader for my novellas, gave them the ship day, which made me so happy. But yeah, she loves Jolista, and so do I. I'm so sad I'm gonna be so sad when I write the end of their story, even though I knew that their story was gonna end like this in the first place. Hi, thank you. So glad you can make it. What inspired you to write Joan of Arc into your novella series? Well, in the first Realm Monsters book, she's mentioned I mean, she in the beginning of the novella she was mentioned, but I didn't know I was going to keep mentioning her. But then the more I wrote the first book, the more I realized that the Khaleesi is the way she is, so hard and cold and pushes people away, not just because of what Caleb did to her, but because of how her relationship with Joan ended. So Joan ended up getting a bigger part than she originally meant to be. It was originally going to be like a throwaway line, like, oh yeah, she was with Joan of Arc, but it became something much more. And then I really wanted to, I just thought it would be a fun scene to throw in that she was with Joan of Arc, because she's such this history person that everyone knows of, and I just thought it would be a fun throwaway line. But it became so much more. And now these novellas, I was like, I wanted to write some of Khaleesi's past adventures, because she's been around for 1,000 years. And I was like, what if I added Joan and you can actually see their relationship, since in the first book it's mentioned quite often about how much of a toll her death took because of how much Khaleesi loved Joan. And I was like, maybe you could actually see that, and then by the end of the novellas you can see kind of where Khaleesi is at the moment in the realm at the start of the realm of monsters for the most part. And so yeah, you can kind of see that journey and see how much she loved Joan and see how much her death tore her up on the insides. Are there other romance tropes you're exploring in future novellas? I've had a few ideas. There was one thing where I thought of, I'm not sure if this is actually a trope or just something I want to write in, but at what point, what if one of them gets kidnapped and the other one kind of loses their mind? I think that's a trope. I might be wrong. I originally thought of Joan just because it'll probably be easier to kidnap her, but then I thought, what if it was Khaleesi and Joan has to try to, fight her way to save Khaleesi? So I think that would be a really fun idea for one of them. So I'm going to have to come up with a bad guy for that one that is strong enough to take Khaleesi, because that is very few. But I thought it'd be a fun little thing to see Joan kind of lose her mind over that. I had another idea in mind, but I forgot what it was now because I forgot to write it down. Oh well, if I remember, I'll let you know. What other historical figures can we expect to see in the series? I'm trying to think. Because I know there was a few more people that was real people that were mentioned in the Realm of Monsters, but actually there are a couple of historical figures, but no one really knows of them. They were kind of, and they're not really, they're like Greek people that were real in the Realm of Monsters. Pisistratos and Frederick, who you meet in book 1 and have a pretty big role in the first 2 books, and not that big of a role in the third one, but they were actually real people in Greece hundreds of years ago. I know it's mentioned in the first book that the famous gardens that's in Greece was made by Frederick, and that's actually true. So I added Frederick, who actually made those gardens hundreds of years ago. And then Pisistratos, his story I tweaked a bit, because his original story is that he was a tyrant. So I made it so I did this whole storyline where he is he was kind of on the bad side of a war at one point, the evil side of the war, but he had a reason to do so. So his friendship with Frederick was strained because he chose the wrong side of the war. So I made that storyline because in real life he was actually a tyrant. But other than that, I'm not sure if I'm going to add any more historical figures. I might if one comes to mind, but who knows? I guess we'll see. Ooh, that sounds fun. Yeah, I thought it'd be fun to have that storyline where one of them gets kidnapped and the other one kind of loses their minds. So that's going to be fun. I'm having a lot of fun with this third novella. I am so excited for what I have planned for it and what I've already written. I'm almost done with it. The last couple of days have been stressful and busy, so I haven't been able to continue. But I do want to finish it in the next few days, in this week at least. But I'm so excited for what I have planned, and you are going to love it. The stuff I am planning and have already written, It's going to be amazing, and I just cannot wait for people to read it. I can't wait for me to read this novella as well. Ellie has already read it, obviously, because she's my better reader. But I can't wait for other people to read it as well, because there's also some amazing scenes in this novella as well, which one of them I will be reading to you here shortly. I'm going to be reading you my second favorite chapter, and I decided on that instead of my first favorite chapter, because my first favorite chapter is a little bit spoilery, or a lot spoilery. So I decided to go with my second favorite, so I don't spoil too much. So excited. Yeah, me too, especially if you love Jolista, because they're gonna get a lot of scenes. But yeah, if you guys have any more questions, please let me know below. If you want, we can start this guessing game, because I thought it might be fun. I don't know how many people has actually read The Realm of Monsters, but so I thought it might be fun. So yeah, we can start that. So I'm gonna say a quote, and you have to guess which character it is from The Realm of Monsters. And I added a character from the novellas because I wanted to add Joan. That's the only reason why I added the novellas. So first quote is, "I can tell you, you have this darkness." Oh, okay, sorry, I messed that up. "I can tell you have this darkness behind your eyes." So if you guys have any guesses to which character said that line. There's several characters. Here, I'll tell you guys the characters that I included for this, so you guys can guess which character said it. So, Kalista, obviously, I think I have two of Kalista. Everyone else, I only have one of. And then Henry, Eric, Jeremy, Isabella, Roxanne, Athena, Frederick, Pisistratos, Caleb, and Atlas. Which Atlas I don't think you actually meet till... Actually, no, you meet him at the end of Realm of Monsters. But you don't really see much of him until the Vampire's Creation. No. And no. But good guesses. I can definitely see Roxanne saying something like that. But do you guys want to guess again, or do you want me to tell you the answer? I'll tell you the answer. The answer was Henry. I'm going to cross off the ones I already did so I don't get confused. Okay. And then there's also, it's not their loss, it's their gain. Who said that? It's okay. That was from the first book, and it's been a minute since you read it. I didn't even remember some of these until I was going through to look for the quotes, and I'm the one that wrote them. I mean, this book came out last Halloween, so it's been a hot minute since I wrote it. Athena, no. Most of these are in the first book. Like I said, the one with Atlas is obviously going to be from the second. And Joan will obviously be from the novellas. But yeah. Anyone else want to try a guess at who said it? It's not their loss, it's their gain. Jeremy, yes. Jeremy said that. You remember that one? That was near the end of the first book when Jeremy was kidnapped and he was talking about Henry. I love Henry. He's probably my second favorite character. Him and Rain are kind of tied as my second favorite, to be honest. I love writing them. Okay. I'm always ready for battle. This one should be easier. It's like there's two obvious characters for this one, if you ask me. No. At first, when I was doing this, I thought it was Athena, but I was like, wait a minute, no, it's not. But she is one of the obvious characters. Elle's phone froze. Oh no, that sucks. No. You want another guess? Or you want me to tell you? That's okay. You haven't read the series yet, but you're doing good so far. It's Kalista. She is always ready for battle. Let me cross that off. My pen's not working with me. I have plans for you. Thank you. I'm glad you think it's fun. So the next one is I have plans for you. Who do you think said that? If you want me to repeat the people that have not been crossed off, then I can't do that. So you know who is still in the running for whose quote it could be. You're just determined for Athena. No, still not Athena yet. But good guess. That's something Athena would say. So very good guess. I will keep guessing Athena until I get it right. Well, you're about to sooner or later. Yes, Caleb. If I remember correctly, that was the prologue. Athena will come up eventually, Robin. Something was here and took Jeremy. What's your guesses now? I'm gonna laugh if you guess Athena again. Who are the characters that haven't been done yet? Okay, so Athena, Frederick, Pisistratos, Joan, Atlas. We did do Kalista once, but I have two of hers, so she's still in the running. Eric, Roxanne, and Isabella. So it can't be Henry, Jeremy, or Caleb. We've already done those. I can repeat it again if you guys need me to. Something was here and took Jeremy. This would have been near the end of book 1. Nope. Any more guesses? before I give the answer. Nope. The answer was Athena. That's why I was waiting for you to say Athena again, Robin. We finally got Athena's. Okay, so the next one is no. Oh well. She's cold and ruthless. I think she was born that way. Yes, you missed it. Oh well, maybe next time. She's cold and ruthless. I think she was born this way. I think this one might be a little easier if you know the characters because it kind of crosses off who would say this because not everybody would say something like this. So it's about cross-elimination about who said this one. Yes, Eric, it was. I'm glad your phone's working again. Okay, so which one to do next? A lot has changed. This one is more vague, but if you know the context of the first book, you might be able to get it. But it is kind of vague, so a lot of characters could have said this. I couldn't make it too easy, could I? Nope. Pisistratos. Yes. People have trouble. I figure people would have trouble pronouncing his name. But no. But you're close. If you want to give one more guess. Who is it? I dropped my notebook. Frederick, yes. That one was Frederick. Okay, so next. You think us three ancient misfits and a group of newbie outsiders can put an end to this? Guesses. I have to fix my hair. Nope. Nope. The answer is, or do you guys want to give another guess before I give you the answer? Or do you guys want me to just give you the answer? The answer is, I lost it. Pisistratos. Okay, next one. Ready? Are we going to talk or are we going to work? Any guesses? And if you guys ever need to know which characters are still in the running, just let me know and I can say which characters we still haven't done. Because there's a lot of characters. And it can get confusing which characters we have or haven't done. Oh, we have a guess. Isabella, yes. I had to save you, and this was the only way. Any guesses for that one? And like I said, if you guys ever need to know which characters we haven't done yet, just let me know and I can so you guys can know which characters to guess. Lots of characters in this story. Nope. Oh, Joan, no. Roxanne, no. It was Atlas. I wasn't sure if anyone would get that one because I don't know who has read The Vampire's Creation yet. Let's see. Okay, I never felt like I belonged there. I never felt like I belonged there. Any guesses for that one? I think we only have 3 more, including this one. Did you both guess Roxanne? Yes, yes. You finally got one right! Yay! Yep, it was Roxanne. 2 more. Now, there's one person I definitely know will get this one, and it's probably one of my favorite quotes in the novellas. Because you matter more than my faith, my religion, my gods, everything. Yes, Joan. I probably shouldn't have mentioned novellas. Oh well. But yep, it was Joan. Okay, last one. I am done running. Who said that? You both said Calista, and you're both right. That was fun. I hope you guys had fun. And you guys did pretty well. So yay! So do you guys have any more questions for me about my Realm Monsters trilogy or one of my other books, or just my writing in general? You can ask me about my novellas, since we're celebrating one of the novellas I published, which is my 10th book. I cannot believe it. 10 books. I did. This was a cool idea. Thanks. I'm glad. It was actually Ellie that kind of gave me this suggestion. I did not think of this on my own. but I thought it was a fun idea, so I was like, why not? I procrastinated way too much to do that. I only ended up doing the research and writing down the quotes a few hours ago. I usually don't procrastinate that much, but I really did this time. Are there more mythological figures that will show up? In this one that I'm currently writing, you will see Hades and Persephone. Persephone. I don't know why I said Persephone. Persephone. You'll get to see them because they're in the underworld. So, and you do see someone else. I don't think it's that much spoiler because I did do a couple tweets that kind of suggested that this was going to be a plot point. But you also meet Pandora from the story of Pandora's Box. I had to do a lot of research for it to make sure I got the story accurate, and there were some things that even I didn't know. So I don't think I knew that much about the tale anyways, just the general idea of it. But yeah, so you do get to see Pandora, but as this may be a tiny bit of a spoiler, but oh well, but she's a ghost in the underworld, so that'll be fun. That is actually why they're in the underworld. They're receiving Pandora's box. What is your favorite Greek myth? I have no idea. There's so many. I don't know what my favorite Greek myth would be. I know who my favorite Greek god/goddess is, which you could probably tell by reading my work, since the one that shows up the most is Athena. But Ares would be a second. But I might be biased with Ares just because every time I think of Ares, I think of the version from Xena Warrior Princess. That is stapled to my mind. So I am 110% biased just because I love Ares on that show. But yeah, I have no idea what my favorite Greek myth would be. There's so many, and I can't even think of that many off the top of my head. I read some not that long ago, I think. I read, I was doing a binging a bunch of Percy Jackson books, and Rick Riordan had a couple of Greek myths book and a Greek gods book, a Greek heroes book. So I was reading some of the Greek gods and Greek hero stories. But now I can't think of any now that we're talking about it. Any tips for searching for writing and incorporating myths and history, and how to balance staying true to that and making it your own? Oh, great question. So this was my first time really adding a lot of Greek myths and history into my writing. At first, I wasn't originally going to add the Greek Greek history people or whatever, but in the last minute, it kind of came to mind like I needed some people for Callisto to be friends with in the past, and I figured, hey, why not try to find actual Greek people that lived 100 years ago? But for tips, I'd say as long as you have the general idea of what the myth / history behind them, then you can change it a little bit. Like what I did with Pisistratos, I did it so because in real life he was a tyrant, so I added the whole he was technically on the bad side of this war, which made things with his best friend Frederick kind of fall out, and had that entire storyline based because he was a tyrant. So I wanted to keep a little bit true of him being on the wrong side of things, and that's why I added that entire storyline. So yeah, I think there's a good balance between staying true to the original story and making it your own. I think it's good as long as you have the general idea of what it is, and then you can just tweak it here and there, and you can still make it your own. Like I added this entire story with Atlas, and his relationship and the whole reason why he was on the other side of the war, which is all my own, my doing. But the general idea of him being a tyrant at one point is true. So, thank you for the question. But I've had fun adding these myths and history figures. I always knew I was going to have a little Greek mythology in this series, but I don't think I realized how big it would be. And I didn't know I was going to add so much of the history either until I was writing, and I thought it would be fun and cool. I wasn't even sure if anyone would get that Frederick and Pisistratos were actual people, but I've had a couple people say they wondered if they were. So I was like, I guess that means people. I guess that means my writing, helped people figure that out. So that's good. Any more questions? It can be about the characters. It can be about my novellas, my series, my writing. I've had a lot of fun with the series. I think it might be my favorite series so far. I'm a much better writer. Obviously, you get better writing as you go, and so I think that helps. And also, it's just a little bit different than what I've written in the past, just because most of the time, when I write, the main theme it has to do with witches. So there's that, and there are witches on here, but neither the witch or warlock that are major characters are the actual MC though. But I've had a lot of fun writing this series, and I've had a lot of fun because Kalista has a lot of potential as a character. I have these novellas, which is going to be 10, and I also have a prequel trilogy planned. And that one I haven't spoken that much about, but if anyone's interested, it's gonna kind of lead to how the realm of monsters was created in the first place. So that's going to be exciting, which means you finally get to meet Marissa after hearing so much about her. Which in the Vampire's Creation, you technically do meet her because there is a series of flashback chapters, and you do get to see her near the end of the flashback chapters. And you see her a tiny bit in the novellas, but she's going to be one of the most important characters besides Kalista, obviously, in these. And Rain. Rain will be a big character as well. And so if you like Rain and you want to get to know Marissa more, then you're going to love these novellas. I figured out the timeline for them as well. They're going to obviously be before the Realm of Monsters trilogy, but they're going to be after the novella. So Joan will already be dead, and she knows she will not be a part of it. But you get plenty of Joan in the novella, so. I already did that one. Okay. Who has been your favorite characters to write across all your books? Oh my gosh, that's a lot of characters. This is my third series. Okay, let's see. Trying to think. I love so many characters. I don't know if I can choose just one across all of them. I have no idea who would be my. Jasmine was probably my favorite in my Jasmine Press series for sure. I also love writing Ben. He was fun. And then in my Chris's Light duology, Skylar is who the MC is. Usually the MC is the MC because they're the author's favorite. Let's be real. But I did love writing her, but I absolutely loved writing Andrea. She had a very small part in the first book, but she gets a bigger part in the second book. I'm planning a sequel series, which will also be a duology following her. So you can see her more and stuff after the events of the end of the series. And I had so much fun writing her character, especially this one chapter. It's one of my favorite chapters I've ever read just because it was an awesome chapter. And then in my Realm of Monsters trilogy, it's obviously Kalista. I think she actually might be my favorite character in all of the books because she's just a different MC than I'm used to. I feel like Jasmine and Skylar for my first two series were more on the nicety. They were always kind and compassionate. I mean, they did have that fierceness whenever they got tired of somebody's crap. So they did have that. But but with Kalista, she's just so much more morally gray, and has this whole I don't care what you think about me attitude. She's kind of self-loathing, which is a bit different. And she has so much trauma. And like I said, she's been around for 1,000 years, so there's so much I can do with her character. And she's just been so fun to write. She has these witty comebacks, and she's just such a fierce and sarcastic, sassy, and intelligent character. And she's just so much fun to write. And like I said, the whole morally gray part is a lot of fun too, because there's a lot I can do with her character. You know, she's not all like, yeah, no killing no matter what. I mean, my first MC was like that. She had a huge issues with the final battle, because everyone kept saying you're gonna have to kill her. It's the only way to stop her, and that was one of her biggest trials, whether or not to have blood on her hands or to not kill her and have her possibly come back or something. She did find a way around it, but Kalista, she has no problem with killing if it's necessary. She's already killed a lot. Some of it was not exactly her fault. It's kind of hard to explain without too much spoilers, but yeah. So Kalista is probably my favorite character. She's just such a fun character to write, and there's so much I can do with her. And she's allowed to kill because she just doesn't care, so that's fun. Lots of murder. Murder's always fun. Why not? Yes, prequel. I'm excited for the prequel. I was debating on doing the prequel right after the novella and the trilogy's over, or waiting on it. But I kind of have some ideas, so I kind of want to do it like right away, just to get the ideas out. So we'll see. Could Joan come back as a ghost? I never thought of that, but that would be interesting. See her come back as a ghost. Yeah, I think that would be a nice plot point at one point, to kind of remember Joan and in the prequels, even though she's technically dead. Who's your favorite villain to write across all your books? Ooh, another great question. Let's see. Let me think of my villains. Main villains, or do villain sidekicks count? I'd say main villains. I'm gonna not say James on because his life. He's probably my least favorite out of all of them. Not that he was bad or anything. I feel like I didn't write about him as often. Like, it was more about his sidekick and her redemption arc. So, I really liked Lilac on the in my Jasmine Press series. She was a fun villain. But I think I'm gonna have to go with the villains that are on the Realm of Monsters trilogy. Like I said, this is my favorite series I've written so far. But I feel like these villains are so ruthless. Like, I feel like James in Curse's Life could be ruthless, but like I said, I don't know why he's my least favorite. I just feel like I didn't like writing him as much as the other two. But Lilac, even though she was definitely ruthless, she also had a weakness, because she could care about people. Her sidekick wasn't just her sidekick; she was in love with him. So there was that weakness, because villains usually don't have that. But in the Realm of Monsters, all three villains, Caleb, Thana, and Ayana, Ayana has a big part in the Queen of Monsters, and then Thana, I don't think you actually meet him in the Realm of Monsters. I think he might be mentioned though, but you meet him in the Vampire's Creation, and he'll be in the Queen of Monsters as well. You also get to see him once in the prequel trilogy from First State I have. But so yeah, I'm gonna have to go with three of them, just because I feel like they're so ruthless and they don't care about anybody. Like, yeah, they all teamed up for this one big goal, but none of them care about each other. Like, it's just a means to an end. So they're just so ruthless. They don't even mind killing family. One of my villains killed their sister, and is trying to kill their niece and nephew. So yeah, they're all psychopaths, sociopaths. None of them care about anybody. So they're a lot of fun to write. So I've had some really fun scenes I've written with them where they were just completely ruthless. Which is your favorite ship across all your books? Ooh, another good question. This is so hard. Why are you guys making these questions so hard? Well, I'm loving the ship between Kalista and Joan. I might be liking them more than the actual main ship of the trilogy, Kalista and Roxanne. I still love them, don't get me wrong. And they haven't had, but they're gonna have a lot of scenes in the third book that I'm excited for, which I am so excited to write. But I'm loving writing Kalista and Joan's story. They have this witty banter about them, and I love the enemies to friends to lovers arc and the forbidden arc that I've written so far, and I'm just absolutely loving them. In my Jasmine Press series, I really loved the main ship, Jasmine and Jax. And then in my second series, I think my favorite might be Logan and David, which they're not the main ship, but they are a very important ship. They even get married at the end, so that's fun. But yeah, I'd say those are my favorites. I will read that snippet now, if you guys want to hear it. Like I said, this is my second favorite chapter from the novella that was published today. Oh wait, I have one more question I'll answer first. If you could be any type of monster from the realm of monsters, which type would you want to be? Great question. So, my favorites have always been witches. They're always my favorites. Vampires used to be second, but they've been bumped to third because the last few years I've gone really into skeletons. My next series, besides the prequel for Realm of Monsters trilogy and the sequel series to the Crystal Light duology, besides those two, my next planned series, that's a new series on its own, is about skeletons. And I'm so excited for it because I love skeletons. I have so many skeleton knickknacks. I have so many witchy knickknacks. So I'd say witches or skeletons, but vampires would be a third choice because I do still love them, but not as much as witches and skeletons these days. So yeah, I'd probably go with witches first, but skeletons as a backup choice. What monster would you guys want to be if you guys want to answer while I read this? So this is chapter 9. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay. So there was a break in the war as the warriors needed to sleep and heal to continue. Joan rode to her farm as the sun rose. It was odd to battle at night, but Athena convinced Sequana it was the best way, and even though they are currently enemies, Sequana respected Athena's title as goddess of wisdom and battle strategy. But Joan is the only one to know the true reason. Not because Athena told her, they are now enemies in the midst of this war as well, but Joan has inside information, and that information is on Kalista, a vampire. Only the Greek gods fighting in the war and herself know of this, and they must desperately want Kalista to be part of this. Joan could understand why. She was the most powerful warrior outside of the gods themselves, but she also didn't want Kalista to be in the war. Not just because that puts them and their relationship at odds, but mostly because she knows how hard it is for Kalista to control her urges, especially among so much fresh blood. She knows how hard Kalista tries not to kill, and it's hard to be in this war. It's taking a toll on her. Joan can see that much. She saw that the look in Kalista's eyes, the look of horror, the look of despair. Kalista had so much self-hatred inside her beautiful heart as it is. Joan was afraid what toll this will take on her mind. Maybe this could put her over the edge. That mere thought terrified her. Joan finally reached the farm, putting the horse in the stable. She was exhausted and in pain. She needed to sleep, but she had to find Kalista first and make sure she was all right. She wouldn't be able to rest or sleep until she did. But the problem is, she doesn't know where she's hiding out or how to find her. Joan wanted to at least clean up, maybe rebandage her wound, if she can figure out how to do that. After she walked inside her house, she walked into her bedroom, ready to collapse on her bed, but was surprised to see Kalista sitting there. Kalista lifted her head, tears streaming down her face. She hadn't cleaned herself off yet. She was slicked with blood. Her hands were still a bit shaky, as they were folded on her lap. "I'm sorry," Kalista apologized. "I got your white sheets stained with blood." Joan shook her head. "It's all right." Kalista looked back down. "I was going to go out looking for you. I'm sorry, I didn't have anywhere else to go." "Hey." Joan walked over and knelt down in front of her, their eyes meeting. Stop apologizing. Kalista swallowed a lump in her throat. I didn't want you to see me like this. I'm glad I did. You are? I'm glad I get to see all sides of you, and I want to be there for you. Kalista looked away. Joan grabbed her chin, forcing her to look at her, not caring about the blood smearing on her fingers. You are not alone, Kalista. You have me. I'm not good at letting people in. Help me, letting people in. Joan smiled slightly. I know. Kalista managed the tiniest of smiles. But I don't care. Kalista tilted her head. Why not? Joan took her hands, transferring some of the red blood to her skin. Because I'm not going anywhere. I'm here, with you, and I'm going to stay here until you let me in. I lost control. I know. It was bad. I know. I'm a monster. No, you're not. How can you say that? Kalista asked. After all you've witnessed me do. Because I've also witnessed the good you've done, Joan replied. You may have your issues. Kalista looked away. But we all do. Your issues don't include being unable to not commit murder. Joan sighed. That's true. Kalista let another tear slip from her eyeball. But you have other amazing qualities that outshine bad ones. Like what? Kalista asked. You're strong, Joan replied. You're fierce, you're smart, you're funny, in a dry, full of wits and sarcasm sort of way. Kalista laughed. Joan grinned at her, happy she was laughing, and happy she was the one that caused it. Joan's heart soared at the sound of Kalista's laugh. It was so lighthearted, despite Kalista being anything but. Joan squeezed her bloody hands in comfort. Hold on. I have to pause my laptop or it's gonna die. And then I'll continue the chapter. Okay. Where was I? I've got you. Kalista nodded. Surprisingly, I believe you. Let me clean you off. Joan stood up, still holding her hand tightly, but she groaned in pain. She held her bloody side as she doubled over, the searing pain of her wound shooting up and down throughout her body. Kalista grabbed a hold of her, keeping her steady. You need that wound taken care of first, Kalista told her. We bandage it and some healing medicines I've learned. Joan wanted to argue, but she was in so much pain that she just nodded in agreement. Kalista led her to the restroom. She grabbed her hips and picked her up, sitting her on the counter. Their faces were inches apart, making them both nervous. Kalista quickly pulled away as she went to get some ingredients and began making a homemade medical remedy. She returned shortly after. Joan felt weird about it, but she knew this was the best way for Kalista to help her wound. Avoiding the vampire's eyes, she took off her shirt, leaving her in her bra. Kalista began to unravel the bandage that stretched throughout body. She looked at the wound and nodded to herself. It had gotten the right help after the initial stabbing, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Kalista put the stuff she mixed together on her wound. Joan winced. It was cold and it's done. But she trusted Kalista, so she remained as still as possible. After it was on, she grabbed a fresh bandage and wrapped it around her body as tight as she could without hurting Joan, but helping her injury. After she was done, she did the same with the cuts in her arm, just to make sure it doesn't get infected. Kalista looked away as Joan put her shirt back on and jumped off the counter. Neither spoke during this whole exchange, both too afraid. Their voices were lost at the intensity of this moment. It was far too intimate for either of their liking, but they were not yet done. Joan grabbed a bucket and walked outside. She turned on the water and let the bucket fill up. She walked back inside and into her restroom to find Kalista sitting patiently on the counter. Her shirt was now off, leaving her in her bra as the blood had seeped through her shirt. Joan forced herself to keep moving. She dunked the rag into the bucket of cold water and began wiping the blood off her skin. She found it hard to look up at her, so she focused on the blood on her arms and chest. She felt as if her heart was in her throat. When she was done, she forced her to look up, meeting Kalista's blue eyes, as they were wide and bright, as if staring into her soul. For the first time, she looked full of life. It felt like time had stopped, and they were the only ones in the universe. Joan held her breath as she began wiping the blood on her face, most of it was around her mouth, but there was some blood splatter on her forehead and the top of her hair. Joan avoided Kalista's eyes the best she could as she wiped the blood off her skin. She was finally done, and she stepped back, dropping the rag in the bucket of water. She had to stop her hands from shaking during that ordeal, and now she couldn't stop them. She was finally breathing again, now that there was distance between them. Kalista jumped down and took her hair out of his ponytail, letting it flow down her back. You might need to take a shower, Joan spoke, her voice low and shaky, to get the blood out of your hair. Kalista nodded. I'll do that after some sleep. Joan nodded. I should go. The sun's up. Right. Joan walked into her room. We can both just sleep here. I'll take the floor, Kalista offered. You're the guest, Joan told her, and besides, I don't see why we both can't sleep in the bed. We've done it before. Kalista brushed her fingers through her hair. I don't have an issue with that. I have some nightgowns you can change into with your bloody clothes and everything. I don't do dresses. You can deal for one night. Kalista smiled. What about the battle tomorrow night? Sequana gave me some warrior outfits, and you can use one. Okay. Joan turned around as Cleesta got out of her pants and put on one of Joan's nightgowns, the least girly-looking one Joan won. Joan turned around and smiled shyly at her. Cleesta returned the smile as the two got into Joan's bed, pulling the covers over them. They laid with their backs towards one another, feeling nervous and anxious at the events that just occurred. They tried to push it out of their minds as they closed their eyes and let sleep overtake them. That's the end of the chapter. Okay, where was the last one I did? Okay, so I tend to lean towards witches too. Yes, I love witches. They're so much fun, which is probably why most of these series I write are mostly about witches. But this one obviously has a whole bunch of other monsters, and then I have my skeleton one I'm excited for. But other than that, I think most of my ideas at least have a witch in them, at the very least, if they're not all about witches. Ooh, a shapeshifter. That would be fun. But there's only one bed. Yes. There's only one bed. I never thought I'd use that trope, but oh well. What did you guys think of the snippet I read? I absolutely loved writing this chapter. It was so intense, and you can definitely see how much the two care about each other. And the chapter I originally thought of was just too spoilery to read. So I was like, better not. I'm happy you do. I have been loving writing them, and I'm so excited for the next novellas I plan. I'm so excited for you to read this current novella in particular, especially since I already mentioned that this is the one where they finally officially get together, but it's not an easy road to get there, so there's a lot of angst. So be ready for that. But I had a fun time writing this novella as well. It was really interesting to write them like this, because it's like in the first one they hated each other, but then they slowly became something else. They became friends, and they started to grow feelings for each other, even though neither were ready to admit it. And in this one, they are supposed to be enemies, and they're even forbidden from their gods, from literal gods, to not see each other. Do they listen? No, they do not. But who's going to tell them that? Because they're not listening. And and one thing I love, which is that even though they are opposite sides of the war and they are technically supposed to not see each other, they don't let that interrupt their friendship or how much they love each other. Yes, they are on opposite sides of the war, and yes, Cleista obviously wants the Greeks to win, and Joan obviously wants the French to win, but they care about each other more than they care about whose side is going to win. I kind of like how I edited it, where that's too much of a spoiler though, so I won't mention it. But I kind of like how they resolved that at the end. But I really like how they didn't let that and everything going on get in the way of their friendship, which is one reason why I just love them. Like, nothing matters more to them than each other, and yeah. Love me some angst and tragedy. Well, you're going to get a lot of that in this novella, especially once you get to the last novella. I don't think anyone's ready for that. Because I knew how this was going to end. Like, I always knew that obviously Joan was going to have to die, but I didn't expect to love it this much, which I made the exact same mistake when I wrote my Jasmine Perez prequel, because which is a villain origin story, and Lilac and Rosemary, who you both meet in the original trilogy, are on there, but you also get to meet their brother and his fiance, which is only mentioned once in the trilogy. And I did not expect how much I was going to end up loving their brother and his fiance and their relationship. And then by the time I got to the end, and I knew I had to kill them off because it was the only way, I couldn't change it at that point, because it's already established that that's what put Lilac over the edge to become the evil person she did. I was not ready for it because I ended up falling in love with him, and I did not expect that. And now that's happening to me again with these novellas. I am loving Joan and Khaleesi and Joan's relationship so much. Killing her off is going to be devastating, and I'm probably going to go through the same thing when I do the prequel trilogy and have to kill off Marissa, because if I fall in love with her too, it's going to be just as heartbreaking to kill her off, but I'll have no choice because it's already established she is dead. And I already know how she died. I don't think I mentioned it. Yeah, it's in the trilogy, or even if I will, but I know how she died. Like, I have it all in my mind. So, yeah. I just keep making these prequel things and then falling in love with characters that I have already established die. So I have to end up killing them off and breaking my heart. Oh well. These prequel trilogies are fun too. Do you guys have any last questions before I end the broadcast? We've already been at this an hour. So you guys can give me any last questions you have. I am so excited. I think after this, The Queen of Monsters and these novellas are done, I'm going to work on that duology I mentioned. That's the sequel series to The Curse's Lie and the prequel trilogy to this, so that these two series are completely done. Every books in the universe I plan out are done. There's no more. And then I can just completely start a new series fresh, and I will be done with all the other universes. But it also depends, because I'm really excited for the skeleton story, so maybe I'll work on that first, just because, you know what they say, right? Whichever story you're most excited for, and I am really excited for that one. So I might just go ahead and skip to the skeleton one. I don't know. It depends on my mood once I finish these novellas and the Queen of Monsters. So I'll let you guys know on Twitter what I decide. What breaks your heart more as a writer, the anticipated death or the planned ones? I think the anticipated one. Because you're anticipating it, and then you get heartbroken when you end up having to get to that scene, especially if you fall in love with the characters. So yeah. But it can be sad either way, especially if you love the character, whether you knew you were going to kill them off or whether even if it's not a prequel sort of situation and you already figured out that this character has to go for whatever reason, and especially if you fall in love with that character, it's going to hurt. So I know I've had a lot of characters I killed off that really hurt to kill them off, but I had my reasonings. Especially since I write epic fantasy, it's just not realistic to keep all my characters alive. There are going to have to be deaths. Especially since I like to write these epic battles. Like, people are going to die. Or be injured. Like, I like witches, but werewolves too. I thought you liked vampires more than werewolves. Maybe that's just me. I don't think I'm the biggest fan of werewolves, to be honest. Even though I do have a pretty major werewolf character in my book. But that's just because I like the idea of a vampire and werewolf who are supposed to be enemies falling in love. And it's sapphic, so that's fun too. What series of your books are your favorite? I think this current one, just because I love the characters, the ships, the found family, and I love that. And I'm also a better writer now than I was when I first started writing, so I feel like these books are also coming out better. I know what I'm doing now. But yeah, I have a lot of fun ideas for the future. Like I said, I have the prequel trilogy, the sequel duology, the skeleton series, and then there's at least one more series that I have planned out. There's a couple more ideas I have, but I don't think I planned them out much. They're just general ideas. But I'm going to focus on the ones I actually have planned out. And the other one I have planned out is about witches, of course. They are my favorites, so I have another witch series. But that one's going to be my longest yet. I have a lot of ideas for that one. It's going to be 10 books. But yeah, So it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be witches, including a character that's been around for a long time. I like having those characters that's been around for centuries, apparently. So yeah, that series is going to be fun, which I'm also excited for. And then I'm excited for my skeleton series, and I have a lot of things I'm excited for. What have you learned about writing from your first book of Jasmine Press to your latest novella? Great question. I'm not sure. I think my writing style itself has changed, which I really like. I think in my first series, I ended up republishing it, so I think I fixed that problem, or maybe not. I'm not sure. But where I would have say like this character said this like too many times, so I ended up cutting some of that out and make it as So it's like the scene I just wrote. There was like since there was only 2 characters, there was a few times where like I didn't even say which character said that. You just knew because of which order it was going in and who was talking. So I really like that change. Yeah, so my writing style, I like it better now. I don't hate my writing style in the first book. I just feel like I learned more from it. So yeah. Who are your top 3 favorite characters in the Realm of Monsters trilogy? If you guys have read them yet, I would love to know. Or the novellas. You can anything in the universe. So in the trilogy or in the novellas from the characters you have met. Because I know some people haven't read the Vampire's Creation yet. So characters that were introduced like Rain won't really be included. You meet Josiah's husband, which he's briefly mentioned in the end of the Realm of Monsters, but he only has like one scene in the Vampire's Creation. But you do get to see him a little bit more in the Queen of Monsters, which would be exciting. You get to see the relationship a little bit. My 3 favorite characters I've loved writing. I mean, I'm loving Joan. So, but I also love Cleesta, Rain, and Henry. I love those characters and writing them. They're just so much fun for different reasons. They're all very different. But there's a lot of characters on here. I don't think there's any character I actually don't like, except for maybe the villains, obviously. Because the villains suck. But, and like I said, this series, my villains are a lot more ruthless and sociopathic than previous villains. So, but it has been fun writing them. I might not like them as people, but they've been fun characters to write. So, they have that going for them. Top 3 characters so far: Cleesta, Henry, and Joan. But I have a feeling I'm really going to love Rain. I think you will. They are so sassy and can be very sarcastic, like Cleesta and Joan at times. But they are also very sweet and gentle at times too. So they have like this perfect balance. Like they might be the mix of Cleesta and Henry. So that's gonna be so. It's been a lot of fun writing them, and I really think readers are gonna love them once they start really reading Vampire's Creation. And like I said, they obviously have a big part in the Queen of Monsters, and they're going to have a pretty big part in the prequel trilogy as well. So look forward to that. But yeah, so Rain has been a fun character. And definitely let me know, Ellie, when you do read the Vampire's Creation and what you think of Rain, because I do think you'll love them a lot. Does anyone have any more questions for me before I end the broadcast? Or any comments or anything? I wasn't actually, fun fact, I wasn't actually going to keep Rain as like a main character, as like one of the major characters. Like with when I finished Realm Monsters, I originally was like, I need this character because Josiah mentions needing, knowing somebody that can help them with what they're trying to do. And so the end of that is him leading them away, which in book 2 at the beginning is he's leading them to Rain. But Rain was literally only going to be in like 2 chapters to give them the information they need. But in those 2 chapters, I got carried away and I got a little off topic. And Rain ended up kind of doing their entire backstory. And I just ended up loving Rain so much, and the way they spoke and their mannerisms and their snippiness with some of the other characters at times and their fierceness. And and then by the end of the 2nd chapter, that Rain was in, I had Rain say, "Could I go with you? Because Jeremy's my friend too. I want to help." And because I couldn't say goodbye to this character. I ended up falling in love with this character, so I just had to keep writing them. And that was only in 2 chapters. Awesome. Thank you. I think I'm going to end the broadcast here. Thank you all for coming. This has been amazing and so much fun. I'd love to do another live show about my books at some point. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. And I've had a lot of fun. I got to read a snippet of my book. I got to do a guessing game, which was a lot of fun. So I'll definitely do that again next time. So thank you for coming, and I will talk to you guys later. And don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you want to be I can't think of the wording, but want to be if you want to be notified, that's the wording I was looking for, notified of when not just videos, but when I do live shows. I do author interviews every Saturday, and every so often I do a live show about my writing and my books. So if you want to be notified of that, definitely subscribe. And I will talk to you guys next time.